It's time for Justice for the People with Pastor Charles Bennett. Justice for the People, exploring issues involving corruption and injustices in the Tri-Cities. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and Pastor Bennett, and not necessarily those of the moderator, management, staff, or advertisers of WHAP. Here now is Pastor Charles Bennett and Justice for the People.
You need repeat business.
Exactly.
The big boys do not. They get up there on the motor mile, they say, come drive the time. If you drive down here, we'll make it worth your while. You know, what they're saying is, we got to get a bigger area to sell cars because there's only two kinds of sales in the world. One based on Barnum Beatty Circus, which said there's a sucker born every minute. The other one's based on, I've got to get your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren coming back to my business.
You're exactly right. And one other point, Charles, I like to make. See, General Motors thought they're going to split these dealers down the middle. They were going to get rid of 3,000 and they're going to keep 3,000. And they thought that 3,000 that they were going to keep would stand up, and they'd be glad to get rid of the 3,000 is gone because they have less competition. But the thing backfired on them because what they done, they tried to hoodwink them also, and then they give them agreements to sign that if that business with the market share they're going to lose, these guys that are going forward, they're not going to be able to have all this overhead because their market share is not going to be there. I mean, I've been in this business all my life, and I'm just telling you that they made a lot of bad decisions here, and the fault to me lies at the management of General Motors. And I personally, Barack Obama and his task force, I think they've been hoodwinked and misled because I feel those folks to be on the lookout of the people and to do the right thing and not be mean-spirited. And this thing all the way around has been mean-spirited and it's been wrong. And here's what they need to do. Let me give them the remedy for this whole problem. All they need to do is contact these dealers back that they gave these agreements to and say, look guys, we was wrong, we apologize. If you want to go forward with us, you go on like you were going. Now, if you don't want to go forward and you want to take this little piece of money we gave you and go your way, then that's fine. And that'll get everybody happy. It'll keep people working, and it'll be smooth sailing. The way they doing it being mean-spirited, trying to do people unjust and unfairly is wrong, and it will come back. As old as I am, what goes around comes around. I've seen it too many times.
Well, whatever you sow, that's what you're going to reap.
Exactly.
And here, let me tell you folks, listening today, what the Obama government's done is they've set up the whole dealership program for General Motors. They've set it up for failure. I'm going to tell you why. They don't believe that there's going to be as many car sales ever as there used to be. So they've cut their dealerships in half so that the half can sell what they used to sell. And that, my friends, is stupidity in action. Because what they've done is they're saying, we know that the American people don't want to buy American cars. We know they don't want to buy SUVs. Now, just the other week, we interviewed a man from a local dealership, and he told us he cannot get the SUVs that people want. Because the Americans, I don't care if gas is $18 a gallon, some Americans do not want to put their wife in a car that's going to fold up like an accordion when they get into a wreck. They would rather have something that's going to run through the next car if there's going to be a wreck. And people still want bigger cars. But the Obama government, they want you all riding around here on glorified scooters that get 180 miles to the gallon, that weigh 150 pounds, and they're called scooters. That's what they're called. And they're not automobiles like we're used to. Now, they may can sell us on that idea for over a 50-year period of time, but that's not what Americans want today. Have you found that to be true?
What I find to be true is, Charles, when I go up Blacksburg to see a football game, and I go up Afton Mountain, I need a Yukon or I need a Acadia. I need a big car that'll get up that mountain. If I'm going to put 4 adults in there or 6 adults in that car, it's hard enough to get up there with a Yukon or Acadia, much less with a car with an electric motor in it. But I think there's a need for the electric cars in the city and the metro area, I think it's a great idea, but you can't pull a boat with an electric car. Or they have a hybrid car, but it's not proven yet. General Motors does. It works through their transmission. And when you start pulling trailers, boat trailers, horse trailers, low-boy trailers and that stuff, there's still a need for these big trucks that you were talking about. We do still need that product.
We need the big trucks. Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, sir. I was listening to your show, and you're talking about how Obama had them cut their dealerships in half, and you said that's an issue. But before they were going under, so if cutting in half is the only option, I don't see what the issue is here when you can expand later on.
Well, let me answer, caller. Let me address that. They're cutting the dealerships in half when the dealerships weren't going under. It was the GMC going under, not the dealerships. Every dealership makes more money on their service department and on their used cars than they make on their new cars. So by cutting the dealerships in half, they've just assured themselves that they can't sell as many cars as they used to sell.
If I may respond, also, I appreciate your caller's question, and it's a good one. The dealerships are your sales force. If you've got 6,000 salespeople out there, you're going to sell more cars. If you cut it in half, you're going to sell less cars. That's common sense. And another thing, the car dealers are not the ones that's in bankruptcy. It's General Motors that's in bankruptcy.
That's right. So do you understand the difference?
I do, but see, the thing is, what happens if GMC goes under? The dealership will, they go under. A lot of McDonald's, for example, are privately owned. But if McDonald's corporation goes down, they're all going to go down.
Well, if McDonald's goes down as the main company, then every McDonald's franchise can start selling Hardee's. You know, they can switch. But the problem is that they refuse to let they refuse to let General Motors go down, and then they're saying, throw away half the people selling the hamburgers. You know, the more people that are out there to sell hamburgers, the more hamburgers are going to be sold.
And another thing the caller needs to realize, the caller would realize, if you cut your hamburger stores in half, you can pay $3 for a hamburger instead of $1.
That's right.
So you got to think about that. But her point is this, I think. She's saying if they hadn't filed bankruptcy, then everybody would have been out of business. But if you got to file bankruptcy, they should have did it on their own, and it should have been fair. This program is about injustices, and the system that they put forth is not fair. It's discrimination all over it, and that's my point.
Thank you for calling, caller. All right. Okay, we got to go to another commercial break. I think sometimes the people that are listening, they don't have a grasp on the overall of what's happened in this marketplace. But what Mr. Francis is saying is that the injustice is what they've done to the local dealer, regardless of what happens to General Motors. More right after these messages.